Hi guys, Andy here. Another head-to-head for you today. I'd like to start by thanking clove.co.uk for the use of the Blackberry Priv on the left-hand side there. The Priv is running Android 5.1.1 with a Snapdragon 808 chipset. It's got a dual-core 1.8 GHz Cortex A57 and a quad-core 1.44 GHz Cortex A53. It's got an Adreno 418 GPU and it's got 3 GB of RAM. On the right is my Nexus 6P running Android 6.0.1. It's got a Snapdragon 810 chipset. It's got a quad-core 1.55 GHz Cortex A53 and a quad-core 2 GHz Cortex A57. It also has an Adreno 430 GPU and 3 GB of RAM. So the 6P looking the better device on paper. But we'll kick things off with the Angry Birds opening test. Regular viewers of my channel will be aware I moved on from Angry Birds 1 to Angry Birds 2 because actually it takes quite a while to open, so it's a bit of a better test. There's more going on, more read-writing, and maybe a little more processing. So rather than an app that opens in a matter of a couple of seconds and you can't tell any difference, we can quite often see a reasonable bit of difference. So you see here the 6P on the right is about to go in. There we go. Go into the game. We're still waiting for the Priv on the left. I think that's almost there. It's perhaps worth noting that although the 6P has a slight edge on the specs, it's about £100 cheaper. So the 6P can be had for $450 for the 32 gig, whereas the Priv is $560. We're moving on to the benchmarking, and again we're going to jump ahead as usual. Won't make you watch the whole thing. They're coming in, looks like they're going to finish at a similar time. But there we go, that's the 6P's highest specs shining through there quite clearly, with a much higher benchmark. Again, from the cheaper device. And a lot of people said the 6P wasn't a cheap device, but actually it is compared to the Priv. We're going to head outside to test GPS. So they both have a lock at this point. The Priv's determined to turn itself off. So I will then reset the AGPS state on both devices, hopefully at the same time, and then I shall try and come out of the app at the same time. You see it says internal AGPS state reset. Then we go back into the app and we can see the 6P connected very quickly. This next bit now, I've just sped up by double speed, twice as fast, just so we can get through, because the Priv did took a little while, not too long, and then we see it connecting in, and gradually the accuracy will improve. We're then going to come back inside to test the speaker of the two devices, the Priv with its one front-facing speaker.
Tell me where to go, tell me what to do. I'll be right there. Tell me where to go, tell me what to do. I'll be right there for you. Tell me what to say, no matter if it's true or you. Tell me what to say, no matter if it's true.
Just lit up in my conscience. What about them rhymes I've been jotting? They're kind of giving me confidence instead of trying to escape through my comics. Why don't I just blast a little something like Onyx to put me in the... Why don't I just blast a little something to want to fight and write songs?
Hopefully that comes through on the video. I mean, it's maybe an unfair test. The 6P's dual front-facing speakers are a lot louder.
Essentially gave organizations like GCHQ and the NSA a free rein to go do mass surveillance. It also essentially gave organizations like GCHQ and the NSA a free rein to go do mass surveillance. Overturned a lot of the rules and laws, and now we're in the situation. It also overturned a lot of the rules and laws, and now we're in the situation.
Network providers and search engine providers are being overwhelmed, quite frankly, with inquiries.
The Priv does reasonably, but it just isn't a match for the 6P, which has some of the best speakers I think you're going to find on a mobile phone. So we move on to the Chrome browser test. I've turned off the prefetching. We're going to clear browsing data. So they're both starting fresh, so to speak. And then we'll start off the first test being the BBC website, and I will attempt to tap them both at the same time. The 6P loaded already. The Priv seem to have a little bit of a choke there. They're both on the same Wi-Fi. The Priv's still loading. Both smooth enough at this point. No issues there. We'll move on to the second website, which is going to be NFL.com. And again, I will try and tap at the same time. The 6p again, clearly, well, yeah, the Priv's struggling a little bit. There we go. Not much of a challenge from the Priv, to be honest, at that point. Both scrolling smoothly. We'll move on to the final one, although I think the 6p has won this already, but we're going to hit the last website, The Verge. See if the Priv can get a little bit of respectability back. That's a closer. That was a closer competition. But clearly the 6p winning all three of those tests. So there you go. Hopefully you found that a little bit interesting. Like I say, for me the slightly interesting thing is that the 6p is about £100 cheaper than the Priv. So it's not fared all that well in these tests, I wouldn't say. The 6p generally having the upper hand. But if you need a keyboard, then the Priv might be a good choice, but otherwise maybe the 6p. I'll leave that up to you though. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.